The Planner is a poem by the Singaporean-Australian poet Boey Cheng, published in the 1992 poetry collection Another Time. It is a free verse with no regular rhyme scheme or meter. The poem is from the first-person perspective of the unnamed speaker, possibly the poet himself, describing an unnamed country experiencing urban expansion. Don't forget to subscribe. The poem starts with the speaker talking about city planners who are shaping an unnamed country. The first stanza discusses the city's planners' cold precision. Right away, they come across as distant and emotionless, completely focused on their job. The word they keeps repeating, making these planners seem powerful but also faceless. The speaker never tells us exactly who they are, just that they're out there, dividing up the land into perfect squares like solving a math problem. Even the structure of the stanza, with its short, clipped sentences, reflects how methodical and calculated these planners are. The speaker doesn't seem too happy about all this. The planners are obsessed with order and precision, with no room for nature or anything organic. They're so determined to use every inch of land that their permutations of possibilities, all the different ways they can design the city, start to feel unsettling. The speaker describes how everything is built with mathematical perfection, buildings lined up with roads, all connected by bridges. Even the word grace suggests as if math itself gives the planners permission to do whatever they want. When the stanza repeats the idea that they are still building and won't stop, it sounds almost threatening. By verses 8 and 9, the negative unstoppable expansion is putting nature, the sea, and the sky at risk. The second stanza discusses how the planners are erasing the past, one building at a time. The planners aren't just building, they're also tearing things down. They see old buildings as flaws or blemishes that need to be removed. They do this with the same skill as a dentist fixing a bad tooth. But by replacing old buildings with new ones, they're erasing the community's history, and the speaker is deeply skeptical of this. The dental imagery continues. The planners fill the gaps in the landscape with gold, just like gold fillings in teeth. Gold is valuable and connected to wealth and the stock market, but here it symbolizes how the planners are covering things up. The new buildings stand in neat rows like shining teeth, and as more are built, people become numb to what's happening. It's as if they've been drugged or manipulated. Anything that isn't modern or perfect enough gets replaced. Instead of embracing history, the country now wears a flawless, artificial smile, devoid of individuality or personality. The repetition of they keeps reinforcing how unstoppable the planners are. The speaker compares their work to dentistry again. Just like a patient doesn't feel pain when numbed, the people don't even realize what they're losing. However, the speaker sees through the illusion. There's helplessness as he describes the planners piling and drilling, destroying history with force. He even mentions fossils of last century, suggesting that the past still matters. But the public doesn't get a say in whether it stays or goes. The third stanza is about the loss of inspiration. The speaker finally shifts to the first-person narration and reveals his personal stance. Surprisingly, he claims to feel nothing about the rapid development. Even though he has hinted at frustration before, here he says that his heart won't be moved by all these new buildings. This kind of progress won't inspire him to write poetry, not today, not in the future. Throughout the poem, there's been a feeling of frustration and inevitability, like the speaker is watching something inevitable. Now, he suggests that he's not the only one who feels this way. He could be speaking on behalf of all artists, writers, and creative minds. Without history, without the little, imperfect remnants of the past, creativity suffers. When everything is made to be perfect and artificial, where's the soul in that? Let's thematically analyze Bowie's The Planners. The Planners criticizes modernization for erasing history and humanity. The planners constantly build, making everything look perfect and orderly, but in doing so, they destroy the past and the identity of the people. The speaker is uneasy. Everything is too smooth, too calculated, lacking any human touch. The poem compares the country to a flawless row of shining teeth, artificial and soulless. The planners erase imperfections like a dentist fixing bad teeth, and they make people believe this is progress. The country's history is drilled away, and with it, the people's connection to their roots. Even worse, the promise of wealth and comfort numbs people to the loss, like an anesthetic. The speaker sees what's happening but feels powerless. In the end, they say their heart would not bleed poetry, meaning they've lost the ability to feel or express emotions about these changes. The poem suggests that constant modernization, driven by money and control, will strip people of their history, creativity, and even their humanity. The poem highlights how modernization destroys nature. The planners don't just build, they take over every space, leaving no room for nature to exist freely. Everything is controlled, divided into neat grids, with no end in sight. Even nature seems to surrender, the ocean pulls back, and the skies give up. This could refer to land reclamation, pollution, and skyscrapers blocking the sky. The planners drill right through the fossils of the past, wiping out history without a second thought. This could also hint at the use of fossil fuels and environmental destruction. In the end, the poem links modernization with destruction, not just of history and identity, but of the planet itself. Hope you subscribe and share for more poetry analysis.